Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Dyslexia with Blessing Ingyape. I am your host for today. If you're joining me for the first time, my name is Doshima Agera. I'm a certified special needs educator and I work for Dyslexia Help Africa. Today, we're having a guest over and she's going to share her experiences about the dyslexia training so far. Our guest is Lydia Ashuza Kevin. She's um she's a graduate of special needs education from University of Jos. And one thing that struck me about Lydia, Mrs. Lydia, the most is that before I bring her up, I need to say this quickly, is the fact that she's not a teacher. Mrs. Lydia is not a teacher. She's a parent. Her child does not have any learning difficulty, but she went as far as getting trained for dyslexia. She wants to have the knowledge. She wants to know what dyslexia is all about. And she's actually very passionate about children with special needs. So the training is not just for teachers, it's not limited to just teachers. Anybody can be part of this training. So join me as I welcome Mrs. Lydia Ashuza Kelvin. Let's give her a digital clap as I bring her up. Hi, welcome to the show, Mrs. Lydia. You
Good
look
morning.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for making out time to be with us this morning to share your experiences about the dyslexia training.
The
So,
pleasure is mine.
you're welcome. I've met a lot of teachers and who actually enrolled in this dyslexia training, and when I am from my interaction with them, when I ask them questions like, why did you enroll for the dyslexia training? Some of them are like, there's always that one child in their school who has made them to enroll for the training so that they can help that child. Sometimes parents, I've also asked parents the same question. Why did you enroll for the dyslexia training? And most times the response I get is that their children, sometimes they have a child who is dyslexic, who has learning difficulties, and they are trying to help that child. So, but for you, even me, before I became a special needs educator, I used to be a regular teacher. And before all of that, I've always had something for the helping the needy. I am very passionate about helping the needy, reaching out to the poor and all of that. I'm very passionate about that. But when my nephew was diagnosed with autism, I had a direction. I became particular about children with special needs too. And I moved from the regular teacher to being a special needs educator. But for you, you are not a teacher. The child does not have a learning difficulty. So please, can you share what what was that thing that made you sign up for the dyslexia training?
Okay, good morning once again.
Good
I
morning.
I studied special education at the University of Jos, and I'm so passionate about these children with special needs. And I realized that even though I study special education, the aspect of dyslexia, it was not being taught very deeply. And for me to be able to identify these children and help them, I need to have more knowledge, I need to have more skills. And that's why I decided to enroll myself in this training, because I believe
Okay.
if I'll be able to help one child, I did something good. for that child.
Wow. Okay, awesome. Okay. If you can help one child. Hmm. Okay, I need to pin that down so that I don't forget. Before we move on, let me quickly acknowledge the people that are here with us. Good morning, Coach Blessing. Good morning, Mrs. Patience. Good morning, Mr. Mrs. Peace Benjamin. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Um, all right, so before I move to the next question, that was amazing. You want to you want to just help children with special needs. Amazing. So, but before now, was there any what was your experience like before the training? Have you encountered a child with a learning difficulty? Have you encountered a child with special needs or something before now? What was your experience?
Before now, I encounter a lady. She's 25 years old by now. I don't even know
Okay.
that she's having dyslexia because when we were growing up with that lady, she cannot read very well. And the teacher has to repeat her and repeat her and repeat her. We have to move ahead of her with three classes. And by that time, I don't even know that there is something called dyslexia. Not until I went to the university and I identified that that girl can do makeup. She can dress you. She can tie her tie for you. For that aspect of reading, she has a
Mm,
difficulty in that. So when
mm,
I went to the university, I have a little knowledge of dyslexia. That was when I have to come back home and meet her elder sister. And her elder sister also noticed that because she went for her master's in UK. So she was able to see children with dyslexia, but she don't know how to come and help her sister for intervention. So currently we
okay.
are working with the elder sister on how to see this girl get a help. And because of her, I said I need to have more knowledge because I cannot help someone when I don't know
When
how
you
to.
don't, okay. All right. Okay. Well done. So, currently you're working towards helping her.
Yes,
Now that you're undergoing a training.
yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you said something that she's very good at makeup. She's very good at what else? Something else.
Tying
Dressing
the
people up.
mm,
Okay. Yes. Yes. So that's her strength. A lot of times when people hear that somebody is dyslexic, someone has special needs, then it's like that person cannot do anything. It's like the person is dumb, the person cannot fit into the society, the person cannot get a job and all of that. But um being dyslexic does not affect your intelligence. It does not limit you to what you can do. So a lot of time is good when you find that person's strength, the child's strength, and then build around that. Okay. So, but she's still making up.
yes.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. All right. So that brings me to my next question. So far from the training, what is the best? What have you gotten from the training so far that you've applied? Have you applied anything you've gotten from the training to this person you're trying to help? What have you gotten so far?
I've learned a lot during this training. I was having that mindset that any child that have dyslexia, that child automatically have learning disability. But I came to
Okay.
realize that it's not so. Not every child with learning disability or difficulty have this dyslexia. And I realized that This dyslexia has to do with neurological disorder that makes the brain to process or interpret information differently. And talking about the
Okay.
aspect of the brain, ha, it was an eye opener. And I don't even want to expatiate it here before I confuse some people. So, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I came to realize that it's the right side of the brain that is actually for reading, and that our brain is not even designed to read. Can you just imagine?
Yeah, that was one aspect too that I found very interesting when I attended the training. That part of the brain that explains why children with dyslexia struggle to read, and then it shows you a before and after of the
Yes.
brain when there was no intervention, and then when the brain receives intervention. So like even in that part, I was like, wow. So that was one thing also that I got from the training. One very important aspect of the training that I got. So apart from that, are there can you mention a few things? Not all though, before you come and give out expo to people that are yet to enroll for the training. So before, do you have like other things that having you found very interesting you've gotten from the training?
Yes, the use of the multisensory approach, I
Okay.
realized is very important, not even for teaching children with dyslexia also, but even for teachers that teach in a regular classroom. You may have a child that is dyslexic in that class, and when you use the multisensory approach in teaching these children, it really helps them to learn fast, because you are not using just one method or senses, but you are using more than one senses in teaching these children. And it will help you as a teacher to be more creative, because you have to create things that will make that child learn and understand what you are doing. So I really appreciate this training that I'm going through, and I'm happy that I'm part
Okay.
of those undergoing this training now.
Please, Mrs. Lydia, we need you in the classroom.
I will soon join you.
we
I'm
need
trusting God for a job.
we need you in the classroom to like you said you want to help, to come and help. I know you do. Even now that you're not a teacher yet, I can imagine the knowledge, see the things you're telling me about multisensory. It's like I'm even learning from you now. Multisensory approach is actually a very one of the most effective teaching approach that has helped children with dyslexia. Yeah, it involves different senses at the time, like you said. So it's not even just for children with dyslexia. It works for regular kids too. Like it's very easier. It makes learning easy. It makes learning fun, and then the kids are most likely to remember what they have learned than when you use the regular method to teach them. So it's one of the most important aspects of um one of the most important teaching approach. Yes. So now based on this your training, can you recommend who can you recommend for this training
Everybody,
based on your experience so far? Can you
I
yeah, can you recommend the training to others?
yes, especially if you are a teacher, you need
Okay.
to undergo this training, because it will give you more insight on how to teach these kids that you are
Children
working
with
with.
dyslexia.
Not only
Mm.
children with dyslexia, even the
Even
children
for
without
regular,
dyslexia.
as long as you're a teacher.
Yes, because definitely teachers that work in a regular school, they may have children with dyslexia that they are not even aware that these children
Yeah.
have dyslexia. But when one
Yeah.
undergoes this training, it will help him to identify. And we know that early intervention is very important. When they are able to identify
Early
this,
intervention.
when they are able to identify the child and early intervention is being taken place, it will help both the teacher and the child. And I would even recommend parents, if you know you have a child who is having dyslexia, it's important to undergo this training because it will help you at home when you are guiding the child.
Okay. Well done, Mrs. Lydia. Like you've mentioned some key, very key notes here. You said you made mention of the early intervention, which is key. The earlier, the better. A child that receives um intervention at the age of at an early stage, like 5 years, and a child that um starts his or her intervention at the age of like 15. I think the child that started as early as 5 is more likely to do better, right,
Yes,
than the child who is starting at 15. So early intervention is key. Teachers, I hope you're listening to what Mrs. Lydia is saying. This training is not just for teachers, that anybody can attend this training, but particularly teachers, because a lot of teachers have kids, students that have learning issues. They don't even know what the problem is. So, like Mrs. Lydia said earlier, is when you know what the problem is that you're able to even help that child. If, for instance, then you wake up, you're not feeling so well, you're sick, maybe you're having a headache or something, is when you find out what has caused that headache. Maybe in this part of the world, sometimes our guess is that okay, maybe it's as a result of malaria, maybe it's as a result of typhoid, maybe. So it's when you find out what the problem is that you're able to get a solution to that problem. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lydia. Um, Another question is, this takes me to my next question. What before we round off, what advice do you have for teachers and parents, caregivers, and teachers? What advice are you going to give to them?
my
And okay,
my advice
sorry, you
to
can go ahead.
my advice to teachers is they should be very watchful in their classroom when teaching these children. They should try to identify a child that is having a little difficulty. Maybe that child is having setback when others are ahead of him. And as a teacher, I'm advising them not to flog these children because I realize that the way their brain, especially those with dyslexia, the way their brain is working, flogging them is like you are being wicked to them because these children, they struggle, their brain is not working at the same direction with the way the normal brain is working, and it takes them time for them to learn something. So as a teacher, you should have that empathy, that spirit of empathy on the children you are working with. And as I said earlier, you my advice is they should try to enroll in this training. And as a teacher, you have to be very creative. You have to be very creative. Then to parents also, you should not leave the workload to teachers alone. This
Yeah,
training
thank you very much for saying that. Continue.
this training is helping me a lot because my 11-month daughter, I told my husband, this girl, she needs to know how to sound words correctly because I cannot undergo this training and she'll be sounding word anyhow. And she needs to know these letters of alphabet and the sound they produce to be able to blend. So I'm advising teachers seriously to enroll on this training and even parents to enroll. And time is important. You need to have time for these kids as parents because if you don't have time for them, you can't help them, especially parents that have children with dyslexia.
Hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Hmm. I like that part where you talked about parents being involved, that the work is not for teachers alone. A lot of times when teachers enroll their kids in the when they start intervention, it's like, okay, now we've paid the teachers to do the work. It's your work. Just do the magic for my child to start reading. But from what I've observed over time is that parents who are involved in their children's education, being dyslexic or not, both the regular kids, once the parents are involved in their education, like you see the difference is usually so much that there's always a difference between parents that are involved in their children's education and parents that are not involved. Then when it now comes to dyslexia, whatever you teach the child, that thing has to be reinforced at home. So when parents are not involved, it makes the process very difficult and it slows down the progress as well. So it is very, very important for parents to be involved in their children's learning. So before, let me quickly let me go through some comments. Please, if you have contributions and questions, you can just drop them in the comments section. Okay, Coach Blessing. You can't really help someone when you don't know how to. Being dyslexic does not affect your intelligence. So true. Being dyslexic does not affect your knowledge. Thank you, patience, multisensory. Yes, the training will help you to identify a child with intellectual disability. Very true. Peace. Peace said the multisensory approach caters to all learning styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. Thank you very much for that. That's true. Yes to no flogging. Coach Blessing Ingyape, she has always been an advocate for no flogging. And then Patience said empathy, patience, and love is needed. Okay. All right. So those are a few of the comments. Before we go, we have just 5 more minutes to go. Um, so what can you tell us about? It's still concerning the training. What can you tell us before you go? What you've already advised the parents and teachers and caregivers out there. What else do you have to say before we round up?
I would like to appreciate the team for Dyslexia Help Africa because they are doing a very great work. It's not easy to transfer knowledge to another person. And looking at what I've learned, it worth the money, it worth the time.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to even ask you that question if you got value. My picture is hanging. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So I was going to ask if you actually got value for the money you paid for the training. Do you think you got value? Do you think it was worth it? Do you think it's worth your time?
Yes, it's worth my time, even though I've not finished the training, but what I've got already, it's worth the money, it's worth the time, and it helped us to know ourselves. And in that training, just as they said, iron sharpens iron, you realize that someone will help you in one way or the other. And the training, the facilitators are accommodating. You know, the joy of everything is when you have facilitators that are accommodating, you not have that fear of knowing you're wrong, because you know you'll be corrected. But when you have facilitators that are not accommodating, you stay with your fears, because you are scared of asking a question, trying to know about something, or you'll be ashamed. So kudos to the
Okay,
team.
okay. All right. So the environment is conducive for
Yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, so okay.
And I
Thank
believe it's
you very much. Okay, for others as well.
yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for making out time to share your experience with us this morning. Like, am I moving? Can you see me moving on the screen? Or it's just me?
No, you're
I
not.
can't even. Okay, I'm not moving, right? I think it's network. Like even the comments I can't access the comments. Yeah, I can't access the comments. Everything is just on standstill. But I think it's network. So as we round off for today's session, I want to thank you very much for making out time to share your experiences with us so far. I mean, you're not even done with the training yet, and you have so much to talk about the training. So I am happy that you got value for your money, and you also got knowledge. So thank you so much for being here with us. Um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, so I can't take you. No, sorry, nothing is working on my screen right now. So I'm just going to. Okay, so thank you all. I wanted to take you to the backstage before I round off, but since I can't do that, I'll just go ahead and see if I can end it. But I don't know if it's even still recording. All right, thank you all for joining us on another 30 minutes of Dyslexia with Blessing Ingyape. I remain your host for today, Ushma Agura. See you same time next week. Bye. Oh.